everyone, and welcome to the Scratchcast Academy. It is time for Realm of the Ancients, one of our Cypher system campaigns. So I'm going to run through a few bits before we hop around and say hello to these lovely people. So first of all, Discord. Head over to Discord. It's full of lovely people, and we like chatting TTRPGs, D&D, you name it, we like chatting. So head over there. There is also a chat room purely for Realm of the Ancients, as there is for every campaign on the channel. If you want to get into a game, drop Scrat a DM on Twitter. We have 5 viewer games this season. However, Monster of the Week is full until the end of the season. So we've also got Ryutama, D&D 5e, and Cypher system. So if you like this system, definitely go and check it out. If you haven't seen the episodes before this, you can find the Realm of the Ancients playlist on YouTube and catch up there. And we are full-time, and if you would like to support us, one of the ways to do that is via our Patreon. You can also find on there some free articles from our very wonderful Renee, who I adore, and she's now freelance, so definitely go and check her work out. We also have merch via Redbubble, and some really fab sponsors as well. The first one being in the form of Bird in the Storm, which is our very own Tool School and Bird versus Plane, and we are working on something with them with season 3, which I'm very, very excited about. But also Mage Hand Press, who created the Dark Matter Alpha, which is basically for all your sci-fi and space needs for D&D. You've got to head over there. We did a campaign last season with it, and we are doing a campaign after this. Our campaign, Completely Legitimate Business, is run after this show by our very own Laugh Love Lindy. So other than that, every 10 retweets and every 4 followers, we get to gift or curse one of our lovely people here with a trinket. So without further ado, we will hop round and say hello to everyone. So let's start off with our character here that plays Marcus.
Hi, I'm Meg. You can find me on Twitter over at Pishkeenban, and I play the character of Marcus, who is kind of a naive, rich boy kind of character, very enthusiastic, doesn't really get the full consequences, except maybe for 2 weeks ago when he fell off a boat. So we're going to find out what happened there today.
Oh yes, okay. And now we're going to head over to our resident crazy person in this, Zyraxes, who is currently hugging, 3 hot water bottles right now?
Yep, I've got one on my feet, one on my knee, and one I'm hugging. And look, it's got a fox on it. I'm so with it. I've got my leopard skin, I've got my fox thing. So I am Shakespeare, and it's the same handle across Twitter and Instagram, and I'm playing Zyraxes, who is a mad follower of the cult of Dionysus, and having a very, very, very hard time for someone who is severely hydrophobic and has just been taken on an ocean voyage. It's not great. It's not a great day.
Especially because you were like on a plank of wood for just a very long time.
Before that, they were in the actual ocean. They weren't happy.
They were not happy.
Nope.
And now our very buff fisherwoman. Hello, Cosima.
Hello, that's me. Our day kind of kept going from bad to worse, and I wasn't sure it could get worse until we had honeyed wine. And our rescuers seemed a little bit more sinister as we fell asleep on an Egyptian fishing boat. But yeah, last week was definitely a crisis and a storm, and then there was drowning, and then there was rescuing, and then there was more floating, and then there was more rescuing, and two of our team are overboard, and we don't know where they are, and I couldn't find them.
Party has been split, well and truly split. And last but certainly not least, our blue-haired, probably what witch are we calling her in this?
I think so. I'm Amber. I play Hestia, the blue-haired witch with a black cat named Merritt. Last I remember, I was shocking a hydra with some electricity, and then it was flung overboard.
Awesome. Thank you. So last week, Hestia and Marcus were flung overboard. Oh, and thank you, Becca, for that raid. Hello, everyone. We are literally just starting, so come and join us in this chaos. So Marcus was flung overboard. Hestia was flung overboard. And Zyraxes and Cosima had this like epic fight with this Hydra, which really was epic.
I punched a thing in the eyeball. It was great.
It was a very gruesome.
Not only did you punch it in the eyeball, but you pulled out your hand.
Out.
Yeah, I got my arm stuck in the eye.
Yeah, that was my intrusion.
That was great. Just like. Ugh, ugh.
And didn't you get a magic rock from that or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I pulled a rock out of its brain.
It was like a piece of obsidian came out from this. And we also got to see Zyraxes, I guess, power sort of form, which made all of their limbs sort of grow into sharp points and almost quite animalistic, was started crawling.
Oh yeah, they got fangs too.
Yeah, it was proper bitey.
Yeah, very bitey.
What I want to say.
I was genuinely like, almost like, should I bite it in the eye? No, don't do that. That's not as effective.
And after the Hydra started to retreat and recoil from this damage that Zyraxes was doing to it, and Cosima like swinging around this ship and just chopping bits off of it
and tying it together in a neat little bow.
Yeah, actually tied two heads together. So this Hydra fell, but as it fell, it crashed into the ship, splintering this wood and also splintering the ship into 4 bits, sending Zyraxes and Cosima down into the depths of the sea, where Cosima herself had a little bit of a vision and heard some voices before she saw Zyraxes panicking in the water. Zyraxes had seen what looked like a huge face down in the depths, in this like ravine in the ocean, and had swum further and further down to try and see this almost like stone-like face, which turned to look up at her before Cosima pulled them back to the surface before they drowned, basically, because Zyraxes was drowning. They made a makeshift raft out of what was left from the ship, and the cat found them and hopped off on from one plank to the other to get to them, and then they were rescued by this fishing boat of 4 or 5 men and a very, very friendly wife of the captain, who looked after them and tended to their wounds and tried to lure Zyraxes out from holding onto the mast with a jar of honey. And she offered them food, she offered them wine.
Nessa and Seb.
Yep. Nessa and Seb. I did not forget those names at all.
Oh, I thought it was Kessa.
Oh, is it Kessa?
Kessa, that's why
I thought it was Kessa.
And Seb. Kessa and Seb. And they were offered this honey wine to help soothe with the pain. But as they drank it, they felt drowsy. And
Zyraxes drank a lot.
Zyraxes passed out pretty quick with the amount that they drank.
Yeah, they drank like a pitcher. So it was just like...
Oh.
Yep.
We also rescued Muck Dad's bro, Obion.
Oh yeah,
Obion has survived.
Brian Blessed of the ancient world.
Oh.
He's had a little bit of honey as well. Lucid moment.
Yep. And the last thing that Cosima saw was Kessa smiling and had a very ominous look on her face. But we will first of all head over to Marcus. Marcus, you were on this boat in this chaos, and you could feel your grip loosen wood, on this, as you try to cling on with all your might, and then with another crash, the Hydra's head strikes the ship as it turns up on its side. And you can feel yourself falling. And when you hit that water, you feel it. It is hard. It's almost like you've been smacked in the face. And you feel yourself almost ragdoll. But you manage to hold onto your consciousness, almost like you shake it free as you start to... You feel like this water is swallowing you up as you start to drift deeper into this ocean. What do you do?
Probably, if it's completely impossible for him to try to swim back up, like if he's too weak, he would probably look around, just like completely in a panic.
Yeah, you're almost in like this daze because this water is dark as well. And as you look around, you feel that salt water burning your eyes. And underneath you is this huge Hydra. And you see this other head come snaking past, and it just about misses you, just about brushes past and shoots up out of the water. And you can hear very, very muffled cries. Oh, thank you for coffee. You hear very, very muffled cries and shouts from above. You recognize Cosima's, Zyrax's, and Hestia's voices, but it is literally like you're underwater. You can't hear them properly, and you can feel the cold as you start drifting down, darker and darker.
Marcus would probably, if the Hydra is still kind of moving upwards towards the surface, maybe try to grab onto one of the heads while it's flying past.
Yeah. Okay, so could you roll me a strength, please? And this needs to be a strength of 4.
Great.
To get hold of this and effectively shoot upwards whilst holding onto it. 2. You reach out for this Hydra, and it's almost like you don't know whether it's because your hands are so cold in this water, or that this is just like a slippery surface. This neck of this Hydra is huge, and you scrabble. It doesn't seem to notice you at all, but it does knock you to the side, and you're not flung far because it's almost like you're drifting in this water. But as you do, you look up where you can see the light of the surface, and you can see another body falling. You recognize that blue hair as Hestia plunges almost past you as you've gathered yourself, just sort of shoots down into the depths.
Marcus would try to grab her.
Yeah. Could you roll me? Is he doing this almost like in a quick way, or are you doing it literally to hold on and pull them up?
Probably just a quick way, just because it looks like she's dropping so fast.
Yeah. Okay. Could you roll me a speed, please, and a difference of 2?
Okay. Come on.
Oh. Okay. Okay. So you, as Hestia comes plunging down into this water, she almost streaks right past you, and you see it almost in slow motion, reaching out, and as you grab part of her robes, you lock onto her. You're in a solid grip, and it ends up pulling you down a little bit further, and you just about manage to pull her to the side as this 4th Hydra head comes shooting up, jaws open, and it's just inches as you manage to pull Hestia away. And Hestia, you are dazed, but you're almost brought round by this cold shock from the water and this hand that seems to grip you. You're no longer just going down and down. You feel flung, as much as you can feel flung in water.
Okay. So I'm conscious, a little dazed.
Yeah, it's dazed more than anything. It's a shock at falling from the height rather than damage.
Okay. I think being like plunged into the cold waters, that immediately snaps her awareness back, and she's looking around. She sees the Hydra.
You see it.
Is it
You in the depths? You see this huge, like, hulking shape, but you can see the neck sort of like reaching upwards, and you can see bits of wood falling off of the ship.
so? I'm wondering, can I see anything above me, like an anchor that's attached to the ship, or anything that's still connected to the ship?
Oh, you can see an anchor. You can see this anchor bit is held on by rope rather than chain or anything like that. You can see probably almost like a buoyancy, like a buoy that is attached as well. Because it at the end of the day, it was still almost a shipping vessel where a net would normally be attached to it.
She kind of like snaps her head back to see Marcus, and her eyes kind of widen. She has this panicked look about her, and then she looks up at the boat and she tries to reach her hand up to kind of summon the rope to come to her.
Okay, can you roll me an intellect?
Yeah, I actually think so. I'm trained.
Yeah, you're trained in
this,
that, aren't you?
So what does that mean then? Do I?
So this makes basically the difficulty is easier.
Oh, okay.
For you. So normally this is, so are you literally trying to effectively summon this to you, or are you reaching out and grabbing it?
I'm trying to summon it to me so that I can use it to kind of pull us both.
Yeah. You this will only be I've broken something. This will only be a difficulty of 2 for you to do this.
Then I got a 4.
Yeah. Describe it for me. How do you summon this?
Yeah. So this is an anchor too, or is it?
It's either whichever one you went for, the buoy or the anchor. Whichever you would prefer to go for.
I think she'll go for the one that looks like easier to pull.
The anchor's probably got the weight behind it.
Okay, so
buoyancy, yeah.
So maybe I'll pull the anchor towards us. So you just kind of see her frantically look at Marcus, and then she starts like going like this, and you can see an anchor slowly coming towards them, and she grabs on, and then she like grabs Marcus's hand and she pulls it to the rope. And she can't.
Marcus will happily grab on.
Marcus, you'll see the boat dip just slightly. It's already thrashing about the place, but it's dipped slightly as you see Hestia draw this anchor over to the side and pull it down towards you. And thank you, G4 Gaming, for the raid. Hello, everyone. And you both hold on to this anchor. You can like pull yourself on and secure yourself, but I do need you both to make a strength roll to see how you're holding your breath. And this will be a difficulty of 3. You've been under there for And also, Meg, you are gifted an XP because of the special intrusion. So you can gift that to whoever you will in the party.
Wait, who? What?
So an XP you gift to someone else.
Okay.
Not to yourself.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to Xeraxes.
Awesome. And Hestia, sorry,
Thank
what was
you.
your roll?
I got another 4.
Another 4. Awesome. So you two you sort of settle and almost manage to hold your breath as you can sort of look to each other and check that you are both okay. Now, I'm going to offer a GM intrusion. So for a GM intrusion, I come in and basically I do something bad. But it gives you the opportunity to gift another XP at another point. So you can either take the intrusion or we continue on. It's always that fear of how bad.
Let's go with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm actually going to give you both an XP to gift, as I'm doing it effectively to both of you. So you both can gift to whoever you want. And as you start to secure yourself on this anchor, you hear like a screech, like a roar.
Looks like we got a new
And
friend.
from underneath the water, you can see blood leak into the water. You can only assume that either Zyraxes or Cosima have done something to this creature. And you see a cut in this hydra. And from within this hydra's neck, you see another head and neck appear as it grows a second one. And then there is a crash, and you feel like a force hit you as this boat completely smashes in half. And there is like you feel all this debris. You're suddenly hit full on by all these bits of wood and all this the planks and the debris that has come from here. I need you both to make a strength save of 4 to hold on to this anchor. What is it with you? What is happening today?
I'm gonna use my reroll.
Yes, you're gonna use your reroll.
Oh yeah, I got like I got a 6. Right? Is it divided by 3 or 4?
3.
3. Okay, yeah, 6.
So you both hold on to this anchor. You see this coming, and I think Marcus just like koala bears around the center of this anchor as secures themselves on so tight. And it's probably the reason Hestia has such a good grip, as you can both link yourself onto Marcus and onto this anchor, as this boat is severed in half, and you feel as this huge hydra falls into the waves. There is a rush of water that sends you soaring upwards, almost in a giant wave at the tip of this ship. And then for that brief moment, you come above the water. You see Cosima and you see Zyraxes being flung in the opposite direction as you disappear back with the weight of the anchor underneath the waves. And you are hit by this wood. And again, you are spinning in the water. You don't know which way is up. The only way you know which way is up is because the anchor is falling down. And you are thrown into this darkness. And you both, what are you doing? Are you looking around? Are you looking up? Are you looking down? What would you do?
I think is this both Hestia and Marcus?
Yes, you're
Together?
both still.
Okay.
Well, Marcus is firmly attached to this anchor, so.
And I think like the reason why Hestia is probably holding on so well is Marcus is firmly gripped, but then she's also kind of using her powers to divert some of the objects around them, and she's trying to kind of redirect a lot of it towards the head of the hydras. She's just trying to like keep its sight from, like, it kind of has to dodge the wood, so she doesn't want it to be focused on them. But I think as they like plunge up above the surface of the water, she gasps quickly for air and tries to hold as much of it in. Sees that the other two are flung the opposite direction, and then kind of starts to redirect, like trying to like make the chain maybe move towards that direction.
Yeah, and you direct like these splinters of wood into the Hydra, and you hear another roar again, as you can assume this hurts. This Hydra, you are effectively shooting huge splinters of wood into the side of this creature, deflecting. And Marcus, you'll see this probably from your like hugging state. Even if you look up towards you will see Hestia effectively creating like a parting, almost like parting like curtains or something, of all this debris just sort of sails around you.
Yeah, Marcus would probably do something like he's just holding onto this anchor the entire time, just for dear life. But after they break the surface, he would definitely like look up and around to kind of see what's going on and see this happening. But beyond that, he's just kind of like trying to keep his head down whenever like a fresh wave of like wood explodes in his direction, and he's just trying to live at this.
And as you both plunge back down into this darkness again, you are forced far, far down. And
welcome to the academy. Please take
can
your
you
seats.
both make me an intellect roll, please? 2.
Got a 5.
Oh wow.
This dice is really, really well.
I was gonna say, keep that dice. And you realize you are falling into this darkness for what seems like forever. As it gets darker and darker and the water gets colder and colder, you can feel it on your limbs. And Marcus, where you've been gripping this anchor tightly, you can start to feel that cold bite at your grip. And as you look down, you think you see something. Hestia definitely sees something. It's something almost like rock that moves in this darkness. And as you drift deeper, slowing down now, you're almost in this dazed, sort of like, you feel drunk, you feel lightheaded as you see all this in this darkness. You can just about make out shapes of ravines and underwater, almost like cliff faces. And in one part you can see bits of ship, and from deep in this darkness, what looks like a stone hand. Now this hand, to give you perspective, is about 30 times the size of the ship you were just on. And you feel that rush of water. It's almost like it's sucking you down, but it's not. As this hand rushes up towards you, and the light from above seems to completely disappear as in its grip, it closes around you. And then there's nothing. So we're going to hop over to Cosima and Zyraxes. And so you both wake up in, well, when you listen around, you can hear people, but you open your eyes and you can't see anything. You can feel cold, sort of damp stone beneath you, either side of you, but it is dark. You can hear people shouting, people laughing, people talking. Cattle. You can hear cattle. You can hear what sounds like someone in another language shouting about something. You can hear carts. And you're sat there.
Do I still feel the rock of the boat, or have we steadied to the point where I think we're either pulled up on a beach or we're on land?
You think you're on land. This is firm, solid rock beneath you. In fact, it's quite cold to touch. Like, you can feel its rough surface.
Thank you.
And you can feel it's slightly damp. Not like, not because water's in there, but it looks like it's been made wet.
Do I still have my brain rock?
Your brain rock, you do have a brain rock.
Okay, that'd be the first thing they'd be thinking about once they've regained consciousness.
It's completely pitch black. You cannot see anything. You can't even see your hands in front of your face.
I think Cosmo's gonna flex her fingers because she was gripping the quartz statue. We're all gonna check our loot.
Yeah. basically just like commune with my snakes and be like, where's my rock? Where's my rock?
And if that quartz statue is still in her hand, she's gonna move it and see if she can do anything to get it to light up, to give us some sort of light in the situation. Or does it feel as if our heads are covered by like a sack or something?
No, you feel like
we're in a
just
space.
You're in a space, and the space is dark, and it's strange. You hold up this rock, and you could sort of slide it around all around you, and you see up, quite high up. It's like there's a slither of light. It's not showing off enough for you to see anything. It's just peeking through. But as you hold that crystal off, it's like it reflects, and you get 3 or 4 almost like more shards of light that don't give you a full picture. But in the far corner, you can see Zyraxes cradling this black obsidian stone. Like, you sort of see half of their face as it reflects on there. You can see dark stone walls, and you can see the boots of someone else who's in there, laying very still.
Almost as if we're in some sort of shaft, some sort of well shaft, maybe, that sort of dark.
That sort of feel, yeah, but it is a very square thing. You sort of almost like you feel like you've been put in a corner because you can feel that.
Yeah, we're kind of wedged into the little wall.
Yeah.
I want to try and turn my stone to illuminate Zyraxes a little better, make sure they're in one piece.
Yeah, no, you can. And Zyraxes, you'll just feel this light, which probably is...
Imagine it's like a mobile phone in the dark. It's
like
blue.
Zyraxes will definitely recoil from the light and continue doing what they're doing, which is like checking that they've got both their skins with them and that their hair is still there. Like, it's a very much like, you know...
Are you talking
testicles,
to yourself?
spectacles, while and watch moment. No, it's just kind of little grunts when they find something that they like. When they find their fox skin, is like and then they check everything else and they run a hand through their hair, make sure it's all still there, and then they'll start like looking around
the
and
tiny
kind of squinting.
Beam, gonna try and tilt it towards those boots, see if that's Obion, see if this is someone else.
You tilt this light, and it sort of slides up this person. You see boots, you see trousers, you see what looks to be a very loose shirt, and a man, not Obion, sort of shields his eyes. Like, what are you doing? Stop it.
Where are we?
I don't... We're in the pits. Okay, not in the eyes. Like, it's just sort of... Thank you.
Zyraxes is gonna like fully like scuttle across the floor, like full on, you know, horror movie all fours, kind of Doug Jones across the floor, and get right in the guy's face and just be like,
Yeah, you see
Just
this,
like hissing, spittle flying all over his face.
this
They're not
guy
happy.
looks quite malnourished. He looks like he may have been here for a while, but he quickly just, it's like energy has come back to him as he throws himself into this corner as far away from Zyraxes as possible. He's like, "Look, I don't want any problems, okay? Okay?"
And they're like holding this rock, and it looks like, to someone who doesn't know that they are insane, it would probably look like they're holding it like a weapon, but they've just seen Cosima holding her rock up. So they're just doing the same thing with their rock, even though it's a black rock.
This person's almost like got his hand up over his head because he thinks you're going to hit him with it.
And Zyraxes will just look at him and then look at Cosima and then back to him, and it's just like,
What's your name?
Cicero. What's yours?
I'm Cosima.
It's, well, not good to meet you, but it's nice to have someone else around.
What do you mean we're in the pits?
It's a pit, it's a jail, it's a cell. When did they bring you here? When did you get here?
I don't know. Recently.
How did they get you?
The last
Lime.
time... Yes.
Wine. I think I would have preferred the wine. And you can see as like you pull this crystal up and look at his face again. He's got this dry blood down the side of his face where he looks like he's just been whacked on the head.
pain is honest.
Well, I'll give you that, yeah. I suppose they're sneakier with you. Though they snuck up on me, that's not very honest. Like, as he sort of retracts what he said.
Why would they take you?
We're going to be sold. Slaves.
And it kind of sinks into Cosima. Oh. Yeah.
Zyraxes looks almost weirdly kind of like, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense.
We both share that same expression.
It's like, it's a really weird kind of
that
okay,
thing.
yep.
Yeah. Right, we have hit 10 retweets.
Ooh.
So, I'm going to give you each a number. Zyraxes 1, Marcus 2, Hestia 3, and Cosima 4. So... 1. So, Zyraxes, could you please roll me a 1d100, please?
Okie dokie.
And Cosima, you look over at this man, and you can sort of guess that he might have been here a while. You're not too sure how long.
He looks kind of emaciated.
Yeah, it's like lack of sunlight. But he looks malnourished. He doesn't look like starved, but not well fed.
Zyraxes is going to start smelling his hair.
Yeah, he does like start to freak out a little bit by this. And Zyraxes, as you lean over, sort of as you lean closer, you feel your hand fall on something, and it's just dirt, but like not a perfect sphere of dirt. It's almost like just a clump of dirt, like earth, like when you were wandering the forests and doing the crazy stuff. It's that sort of earth. It's not dry, it's not sandy. This is like soil.
And Zyraxes will like absolutely freeze. Like they're leaning in to be so weird with this guy, and then they just freeze and their head just snaps down. Even though they can't really see what they're looking at, they're just completely focused on what they can feel under their hand.
Yeah, you feel it like in between your fingers because you've sort of not gripped it, but you've moved forwards, and you can feel that slight squish almost.
Is it like Yeah, squish. Is it like wet mud or is it like loose topsoil?
It's like damp. It's almost like topsoil that's just been watered.
Yep. Xeraxes is going. Oh, Xeraxes is actually going to like curl down and put their face in it. Not
that
even like just
that
not
bodes
even like
so well
face
for what
plant,
it
just
is.
like just lying in it, just like trying to like almost breathe in the scent of it because it's so familiar.
Yeah, you can. It sort of like smears over your face, and you can just smell that earthy goodness, I guess, to Xyraxes. So, for you, this is like the smell of the earth in the forest after it's rained in the morning. That is what this smells like. And as you're taking that deep breath in, it's like someone lifts a panel above you and you are struck by heat. You are struck by this sunlight as you see 4 or 5 men moving this huge sort of wooden panel. And this is blinding. You've been sat in darkness for a long time, and you can see Cicero just sort of completely close his eyes and block the sun away. And you hear like this cat like really going for whatever, and you see this fisherman that you recognize from the boat, just stupid animal, and throws this cat, your cat, down into this pit. And then
I imagine has been trying to get to her feet
and
like is shielding her eyes. So yeah, if I can make a grab to catch the cat before it hits the ground.
Oh, you'd be able to grab this cat. It's not like it's literally being thrown at you. And you can see this man, however, who has thrown the cat is covered in scratches. Like this, this cat has tried to shred this man on the way down. And it is thrown at you, and you can catch it very, very quickly before all of you feel this dousing of water as buckets are turned up over you. And you just feel this water just douse you. And you hear this cat like is really fluffed up, even though it's drenched. It is hissing at this man, and it's making this horrible sound. And it's just like, be back for you in a bit. And
There's no need of a bath.
And they pull it. Oh, you just hear mumbling and grumbling of it as they pull like this cover back over. But there's that tiny bit of light left. They didn't pull it back fully.
Shakes, have you ever seen Emperor's New Groove?
Yes.
Have you seen the bit with the cliff face when they're like back to back and they're climbing the wall?
Yeah.
Alice, how wide is the space?
First of all, I want to point out there are bars across the top of this.
That's okay.
You can climb up there to at least have a lookout.
And I'm not sure Xyraxes could even be considered as willing to do that as a llama would be. You'd probably have more luck with an actual llama.
But it is about sort of another Cosima high.
Oh. Although that is a wonderful image that will just live on in my mind.
Another Cosima, yeah. But as you look at this dirt, Xyraxes, you feel it like, because Xyraxes probably looks up and has this dirt over his face. As the sun touches it and that heat touches it, you see lots of plants start to grow and start straight away flowering buds. And these pink, these orange, and these white flowers just start to bloom.
Xyraxes is utterly entranced. Like they're not paying attention to anything else anymore. They are literally watching plants grow.
And Cosmo, you will see this as well.
I think this is momentarily too strange for Cosima to really deal with, and she is going to offer to give our fellow prisoner like an arm up, figuring that she's probably strong enough to lift him.
oh, you could pick this guy up. He's quite small. After like he doesn't.
I would rather him be willing though and understand.
Yeah,
what
no.
he's doing.
Willing, he sort of nods to you, but you feel him really putting his weight on you, like he needs help, but he's not heavy. This isn't like something difficult. You don't feel like he's pushing you down at all. And
so as she's doing this, she'll say, Xeraxes, what's with the plants?
And Xeraxes is just like almost like curled over these plants now, like they're terrified that the water's going to come back and just wash them away. And it's just like touching petals, like they're not entirely sure it's real, and will kind of be a bit startled by being addressed, and then kind of go, they're real. And it's just like childlike wonder that this is actually not a hallucination.
I'm glad, but what are they? How can they bloom so quickly? And she's like heaving this guy up.
yeah, he's like trying to like keep his balance as you do this.
And Xeraxes will just like trace the shape of a petal and just say, good things grow in good earth. They're real.
You feel how silky these petals are, like they feel fresh.
He's literally just staring at like the pretty flowers, just like, nope, this is great. This like week has been a nightmare. This is fine. I'm just gonna focus on this. And
Cicero, as you lift him up effectively, is like, what do we do? Have you got a plan? Have you got a plan? Like, I've been in here on my own for so long.
Well, to make a plan, we need to know something. Tell me what you see.
Right, okay. And I just need you to make a strength roll. It will literally be of 2. And I say strength, I mean... Might. That is exactly what I mean.
That's okay. I totally made up the rules when I played Cypher on Sunday.
Yeah. I'm like, just roll a perception. Yeah, like, this is what I mean by Cosimo. On a 5, it's like you almost javelin him up there. It's like...
It's like the cheerleader lift where you just...
Yeah.
lift.
Yeah. You sort of slowly lift him up, and he sort of reaches up and grabs through the bars right where that bit of light is, and you can see him try and peer over. So I see a market. I can hear a market. I can smell food. Oh my god, I can smell food. But it's they're setting something up like a platform. I can't
For the auction.
Yes. That must be it. But I don't...
What about the bars? How are they affixed?
Bars. And he just sort of starts feeling around the edge of the bars. And they're like welded to the side of this thing. And he's like, there's got to be. And you hear a clank. And it's like there's a trap. He's like, there's a door, a gate. I don't know what it is, but I don't know how to get out of it. But there's something here. This is how they must get us out. This is how they get us out.
Some sort of lock or mechanism.
Yeah.
Right, Xeraxes. Can you draw?
Draw.
With your finger in the soil. Trace a pattern. Make it from the words.
I like patterns. Patterns are good. Patterns are
good. Listen to
lots
our
of
new friend
patterns.
Cicero. Cicero, describe what you feel.
Okay. And it's a square. It's a square of the bars. There's holes in the bars. And he sort of feels along. It's like there's bars that lock it, like bolts, and he's actually closing his eyes now to focus on the feel rather than anything else. He's like, there's one at this end, and there's one over here, but there's something holding it in place. I can't tell what it is, like maybe a rope or attached to something, a weight. I don't...
Sort of interlocked system.
Yeah.
Cosima, for a brief moment, has to close her eyes too. She's trying to visualize what he's describing, and then she'll look down to the soil and the flowers and floor. See.
Zyraxes has drawn this.
And
Yeah.
Cicero is confused.
I think Cosima at this point is gonna let him down.
That wiggle isn't a drawing. Also, that's just one of the snakes that's fallen off.
Just
And
snake.
Just snake.
she's gonna keep her eyes on the drawing of Zyraxes, but only kind of as a like a mnemonic, but a visual mnemonic of what was just told to her. So those two lines, that's when he said that. Those two lines, that's when he said that. And she's trying to figure it out in her brain. All right, what do we have with us? We need to take stock of what we have.
The gods are with us. And you're here now.
I could just see Cosima pulling her hair out. Like, why, Zyraxes? Why did I stay with
Why
this one? Why couldn't it have been Marcus or Hestia?
And she's trying to figure out how to use the snakes. Because she can see the moving mass of them. And she can't figure that out. She knows that some snakes have strength in them. And she's like, how do you command a snake? And then she's looking at the cat.
Yeah, this cat is now batting at the not touching the snakes, but like shifting around them and watching them sort of if they get too close. You know that, like that sort of distance, like bat to try and get rid of them.
The snakes are weirdly benign towards the cat.
Oh yeah, but the cat just doesn't trust them.
Yeah.
Cosima knows the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, kind of like toddlers. Like you bat them away, and it's just like, okay, and then they're back. Go away. No, okay, and then they're back.
Cosima is gonna just be staring at the cat and acknowledging she's reaching a new level of insanity that can only come from being in proximity to Zyraxes. And she's gonna say, Cicero, can you carry the cat up if I lift you again?
Yeah, yes, I guess. And he sort of leans out, and this cat just gives him a look, but allows him to be picked up and just hangs there as it's lifted up, and you lift Cicero back up.
And Cosima's kind of talking to the cat. Hestia never introduced us, but I need you to do me a favor. She has skills, and I'm going to assume that you do too. Powers or God's blessings. She glances down at Zyraxes. Find a way to help us get free, and we'll find Hestia.
And this cat just blinks at you. And then, as Cicero holds it up, you see this where this gap is, this cat puts its paws through the bars and pulls itself up and out. And it comes, and you can see that little nose like along the line, along this gap. And then it disappears. And we're going to head back over to Hestia and Marcus. Now, the both of you feel heat on your skin, on your face. You feel grains of sand like in between your fingertips, in between like your fingers, your thumb, and you can, as you close your fist, you feel like you can scoop up this sand. And you can feel water lapping at your feet. But that darkness is gone. And Hestia, in your head, there's that whisper again. You lost the messenger. Find the messenger. And Marcus, you feel that like you can feel yourself like coming round. And probably as you can roll over, you can look up at this very blue sky. You are on the shore. The last thing you remember is that hand closing around you.
Whoa, what happened?
Hestia's kind of laying there on her side, and like when that voice echoes in her mind, her eyes just kind of snap open, and she's like, and she like inhales sharply, and the eyes turn to this kind of like shocked and unexpected realization that she's not underwater anymore, and her hand just kind of like grabs into some of the sand, and she looks around. How did we get here?
I don't know. And Marcus is kind of already like coughing up some water and trying to get to his feet a little bit. And he's like, I have no idea. All I remember is the hand.
And Hestia kind of pushes herself like up, kind of leaning on her side, and she has long strands of wet blue hair hanging across her face that she tries to wipe away. As she looks around, what does she see?
You see yourself on a shoreline. In front of you, as you sit upright, you look out and you see the ocean, almost still. Apart from the waves lapping at the shore, it's as if everything that just happened didn't happen. There's not a cloud in the sky. And you can hear some sounds, but they seem to be way off in the distance. And you are surrounded by reeds. And you will feel a sharp pain in your arm. And you can just see, not bad, but there is a fairly large splinter wedged into your forearm.
Like as she goes to kind of lift her arm to kind of, like shield her eyes from the sun, she, oof. Oh.
Marcus is going to see this and kind of like immediately get down next to her. Like, are you okay?
And with her, she has a strong knowledge of healing. Would she see this and know that she could remove it and bandage it, or?
You would reckon you could remove it and bandage it.
Okay.
It's quite simple, but it's a big piece of wood, but at the end of the day, it's wood. It's not anything else.
Okay. You see her kind of, she yanks the chunk out and then kind of goes like this, and you see like little splinters kind of sucked out of the wound. She's cleaning it with magic, essentially. And she rips a piece of her cloak that's damp off, and she's running it. She kind of winces because the salt of the water stings in the wound. Shouldn't be too bad, but I'll be fine. But we have to. And she's just kind of confused still. Where is Cosimo and Zaraxes?
I think we saw them got thrown from the ship when it got snapped in half. I don't know where they ended up, though, or where your cat ended up. I'm sorry about that.
And then, like, this panicked realization, she's like, Merritt, oh no, I hope. And you can kind of see, like, this pained expression, like she's thinking, like, oh God, did he drown? Cats hate water. Just a very sad look on her face. Well, our first business, we have to find them. We have to find where we are.
We should probably go. I can hear some sounds. We should probably go to civilization and kind of see where we are.
We should also try to find some dry clothing. We look like we were in a shipwreck.
Yeah. And he kind of realizes that he's just like sopping wet for the first time. Yeah, we should probably do that. Do we still have any, and he's gonna check to see if they have any like cash or goods on them or anything.
I think Marcus might, because if he had like a very tightly sealed purse or something like round his waist, you would have that, but if you had like a pack or something, that's probably no longer there.
Maybe just a little bit. I don't know if he'd have like a ton of on him then.
And you can both stand, and you see like you're surrounded, like these bulrushes are high. These are really, really high up, and you can hear like people in the distance, or what sounds like what you could say is there's a town or a city or something in that direction. But from behind you, you hear a long, deep hiss.
Hestia immediately whips around and looks to see. I look for the source of the noise.
Yeah, as soon as you whip round, you see this crocodile emerging from the rushes. And it's like it's just seen you. And it's watching you.
And she looks kind of warily at it as she like reaches for Marcus's shoulder and she pushes him. She's like, let's get away from here.
Marcus will not say anything. He just looks at it for a second and kind of backs up a bit, but is just walking very quietly and very slowly away from this thing.
You both start to back away, and it doesn't seem to move. It just opens its mouth slightly, and you hear that hiss again, and those teeth. I need you to roll initiative as it lunges as you make that move.
Good.
To go.
No, I dropped it. That's a 4.
Huh.
Look.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay. University -3. Okay, no, that's not too bad. So, this huge crocodile lunges towards you. However, Hestia... No, hang on. I confused myself. Yeah, Hestia, you do have the advantage on this. You see it coming. You saw it coming towards you and Marcus. You warned Marcus and you pushed him slightly behind you. How do you react to this?
So, like, she's half turned and she had like one hand kind of like this and then the other pushing him kind of away, but she was keeping an eye on him. But the moment she sees the creature kind of start to lunge, you just see like her eyes kind of like turn like they light this brilliant kind of blue color. They flash almost, and you see the air surrounding the beach kind of darken and rumble as like it almost looks like a small thunderstorm appears, and you see she just kind of like squeezes her other hand tightly, and you see this crack of lightning just strike the creature.
Yeah, can you roll me a intellect, please?
Yes. Ooh, I got a nat 20.
Yeah, why not? So that's hang on, that's divided by. So on this lightning sort of, you see it brewing in the darkness. You can see it coming over from the water. And Marcus, you'll be very aware that it's suddenly got a lot cooler around. Like the air just drops in pressure, and you see these dark clouds come in, and you hear the rumble of the thunder first, and then there's this crack of lightning as it strikes this crocodile, which lurches backwards, just not expecting it, and you hear it sort of groan and rear back round. It is Marcus's turn.
Okay. So Marcus has this like ability that is so not Marcus, but it just came with like his character type. So let's see. What's it supposed to do? Let's see. All right. So I want to use terrifying presence.
This is this one time he can just.
Are you about to introduce your father at a crocodile?
I just want to know,
Marcus is just going to like, emboldened by this lightning strike, he like gets all up and like just. Ah!
Can you roll me either a might or an intellect? Either like, is he using tactics into what would scare a crocodile, or is he actually puffing up like a pigeon?
This is an intellect ability. It takes an intellect point.
Awesome. Okay, so add an
I'm gonna
intellect
go
point
ahead
to your
and do
roll.
that.
Let's have a look.
Oh my gosh, can I use my reroll?
Yes, you can use your reroll. Yeah, so you. Okay, how do you scare off this crocodile? Because you've just intimidated. And Hestia, you're seeing this. You're seeing this small boy that you have all been trying to kind of mother through this. But Marcus, describe the scene here.
So the crocodile rears back. And like I said, Marcus is kind of like inspired by this. Like, we can do this. Like, that's kind of his general attitude. And he just like kind of gets up and like makes himself seem as big as possible, even though he's just like not a big guy. And he goes like running at this crocodile, just like yelling like ah! At this crocodile.
With the way you're yelling at this creature with this thunderstorm that is starting to erupt behind you, you see this crocodile turn and start to almost weave and snake away in the sand back towards the rushes. And you hear a yell as a spear comes shooting through the reeds to where this crocodile was, as it quickly slithers away, and you see a woman sort of burst through these bulrushes, a huge like pile of fish like all strung up in her hand, and she's like, bugger, got away. Like, and she sort of like looks and turns around, and then her eyes fall on you, both of you, and then up at this sky that is starting to diffuse, but she's looking up at this thunder, then looking back to where she came from. So, are you all right?
As she was looking up at the sky, Hestia quickly pulled the hood of her cloak up to conceal her hair, and like the brightness in her eyes just kind of falters immediately as she's like, oh, oops.
And it does literally just...
This guy goes... Yep, just... and then she kind of starts laughing and claps her hand on Marcus's back, and she's like, this one just was failing at a swimming lesson.
You know there's crocodiles here, right?
I do now. Yes.
You're not. And they sort of looks at both of you, what you're wearing and how you're both drenched, fully clothed and drenched. Are you sure you're okay?
We could use some dry clothes.
Uh-huh. Where did you come from?
The sea. She kind of says quietly.
She sort of walks over and she takes your face in her hands and literally just opens your eyes wider, and she's basically checking if you have concussion. And she's like looking at you like, huh, you came from the sea? Like in a boat?
Yes.
Where's your boat?
We both were thrown overboard. We don't know what happened. We just ended up here. Where is here?
You're in Memphis, the city, the great city of Memphis. Yeah, we need to go make sure you're okay. And sort of looks again, turns back and looks at Marcus like, you someone important? Like looking at your clothes. Is it
No more or less important than my friend.
She kind of like side glances at him like
right. Okay. Well, you can't stay here. This is like the worst. Like, and she sort of gestures towards some of the reeds that are moving where the crocodile went into. She's like, you know that's not the only one out here, right?
and then kind of like now looking around and seeing all of the reeds moving, she's like, yeah, we should leave.
Yeah.
I'm not scared.
And this woman can't help being like, I bet you're not. Like, she can't help like seeing this younger boy because she didn't see you shouted it. She just heard you.
But even Hestia, when she saw like Marcus kind of like charge out there, she even kind of has this like this kind of like, it just looks so out of character. That she's still kind of got like a smirk. Like that's why none of this is like super alarming for her. She kind of has that comical edge to it, but she's like kind of just right. Well, I assure you, we are fine. Just a little disoriented from being kind of washed ashore, and then the crocodile.
Maybe you should get back into the city and not go swimming out here.
I think that's a good idea. Do you know where we could dry off? I don't want to go traipsing through the city looking like this.
Yes, sure. You can. I mean, you're not pirates or anything, are you?
No. Oh gosh, no.
No.
Okay. Well, you can come back to mine for a bit, but then straight to the city, just to dry off.
Thank you. That would be appreciated.
And
then she kind of goes, pirates.
She pulls this spear out of the ground and gives you sort of a side look, and she turns and starts to walk away. So, come on then.
And then as Hestia is following, like she kind of like takes the lead and she turns just ever so slightly back at Marcus and goes, I'm not scared. Just
I was riding the adrenaline high.
And then Hestia just kind of takes like one finger and just like ever so slightly and playfully pushes Marcus back a little bit and like imagines that he like staggers a little bit and she goes, it's cute.
And you start to walk, you sort of go through some of these bulrushes, and this woman is athletic. She's not tall, she's not bulky or anything like that, but you know she's probably out and about a lot. You can see lean muscle. She's got long, dark, almost jet black hair, which is braided at the side. And she leads you closer and closer to the outskirts of the city in silence, only checking back to look at you every now and then. Just probably, you guess, more out of nervousness. She doesn't know exactly who you are, but she keeps on going. And as you get close to the city, you can hear this civilization. You can smell these spices, this cooking. You can hear cattle being sort of taken to be traded and brought through the city. And the road beneath you isn't really a road, it's dirt track. And soon you are almost overwhelmed by all the people around you. Lots of people with stalls with spices, selling all these different things. Lots of things you've never even seen before. A lot of pottery is here. And that people don't seem to care that you're walking there. Cattle is dragged across your path, and you can see that this woman is just weaving in between them every now and again, checking back to see if you are still following before she arrives outside a sandy-colored house.
And Hestia is kind of like dodging some of the cattle as she's trying to wring out her hair. So she's like, oh, okay. Like maybe pulls Marcus, like, oh, don't get trampled on. Yeah, that's what she's doing.
How about Marcus? Is he just being dragged along?
Yeah. This is kind of, he's always just enamored with every new thing he encounters. So as this is happening, he's just kind of obliviously like looking around at like everything that he can like feast his eyes on, to the point where he'll just run into things. And so he's very grateful.
You like get tangled in a washing line type thing. You see between all of these houses are lots of effectively washing lines with cloth and just sort of robes and things hung out on this line drying, and you can hear like a hey as you sort of tangle yourself in one of them on the way through.
Sorry. Kind of start like pulling himself out of this situation.
And you feel Hestia's hand like kind of grip your cloak and pull in. She's like, come on, Hercules, let's go.
And you finally weave underneath all of it, and you have to duck beneath some of them. And as you look up, as these buildings get taller and taller, you can see just all these colourful and a lot of white and sort of beige coloured clothing and material hanging all the way up, almost like flags, as they sort of drift in this breeze. And you arrive at a house, a simple house, a square house, flat roof. And she opens this door, which is just a few planks in front of this, basically a hole in the wall. And she steps in and looks at you, like, oh, come on in.
Hestia kind of gingerly like steps forward, and she's looking all around.
Yeah, you step into this kitchen. You see lots of big terracotta like clay bowls, and you can see lots of herbs drying along by one of the windows, which is just again like a gap in the wall. There is no shutter or anything like that. Quite a large table at the center, and you only see one stool there, so you can assume this person's on their own. And you can see a pile up of different spears and staffs and all sort of propped up against the wall. Maybe this is her craft, you're not too sure.
Seeing that she seems to be the only one there, Hestia kind of relaxes, is a little more at ease that her and Marcus aren't outnumbered by strangers they don't know. And she kind of she slowly removes her cloak. She's like, my name is Hestia. Thank you for your hospitality.
You are welcome. I am Adga.
What's
It
the name?
is Adga.
Adga.
It is nice to meet you. And who is this fearless fellow? She sort of raises an eyebrow as she looks at Marcus.
My name is Marcus.
Nice to meet you, Marcus.
It's nice to meet you too.
Right.
Never mind.
You wanted to dry off? Do you need
Yes.
new clothes?
That would be lovely.
Right. And she sort of gives you both a look up and down. You think maybe she's sizing you up. And she disappears back out the door, and you can hear almost like that doing as like she's pulling things off of some of the washing lines out here, and some of them are quite brightly colored. And if you can smell something else on the air, and it's like a lot of spices and rich smells, not necessarily food but something else. And she comes back in. She said, "It was dyed this morning, so it's, I think this is about your size." And she sort of hands almost like a loose shirt and a loose pair of trousers to Marcus, and something very similar to Hestia, but more probably tailored for Hestia in the trousers, the sort of harem pants style trousers and a top, and you can get changed. I'll just be outside. And she ducks outside the front door again.
Hestia's kind of holding the clothes, and she looks at Marcus and she's like,
he turns around.
And then you just kind of hear like a plunk of like damp clothes hit the ground, like quick scurrying, and she's like, oh, as she like takes in the warmth of just not wet clothes. I'm decent. You can. I'll stay this way. Or she kind of turns around and.
Yeah. He'll do the same thing. Just kind of change into his slip on the warm tunic and just. Oh, that feels so much better.
And she kind of picks up her pile of wet clothing, and she opens the door and she's like, "May I hang this?"
Yes. And you see she sat by this pit, which looks like a big terracotta. It's like someone's dug a pit and put a terracotta bowl in it. She's literally mixing all of this material in this red, deep red liquid, where you can see her dyeing these clothes. And she stands up and takes them from you and just throws them over one of the lines.
Is there a place nearby where she could sit near?
Oh, yeah, you can sit all around. This is quite
okay.
You can easily sit around. It's almost like a fire pit style.
She sits down and she's kind of like huddled, like trying to get a little warm. And she kind of like meekly looks up and, "Thank you again. This is so kind of you."
No problem. She looks kind of awkward, like she doesn't know what to do. You probably think, this person doesn't talk to a lot of people often. This person lives on their own and doesn't do much with others.
Marcus will also sit down and kind of be like, "I'm also very thankful for what you've done for us. Is there anything that you could tell us about other people that have come into town recently?"
People come into town every day. It's a big city. And she sort of like gestures out almost like down a corridor of buildings, and you can see people pulling camels along and cattle, all these decorative materials sort of piled on the backs of these camels. And she's like, people come here for work.
That makes sense.
Is that not why you're here?
We are supposed to be here with some friends, but we lost track of them, and I don't know where we could find them.
Well, maybe they're here. You washed up here.
Yeah, that's our hope too.
I mean, it's good. Well, it's not good work, but it's work. You can get here. This is my own business, but most people head to the and she sort of points back down this corridor again, and you see these huge buildings reaching up to the sky. Unfinished pyramids.
Oh.
You see what looks like hundreds and hundreds of dots on the horizon, dragging these huge blocks of stone. So, I mean, that's where most people go, if they're not slaves, that is, you know.
Did Hestia get any inkling of the intention of the people on the ship before she was thrown?
No.
No. Okay. So she wouldn't think like, oh, our friends
Oh no,
are captured in our.
this was a completely different ship they were picked up by.
Oh, okay.
They found a completely different ship.
Gotcha. Okay, so she, and she just kind of looks like she's looking down the street. She's like, I don't even know where to begin looking.
Well, they'll probably be in the main town square if they're looking for something. But, I mean, that's where everyone goes. It's where the main markets are. It's where the main jobs are. So, I mean, we could try. I'm happy to show you the way. But,
that would be so helpful.
Yeah, of course. And it looks like she goes to get up. And then a black cat jumps down onto her lap. She's, oh, hello. And you can hear this purr. Oh, so did mine. Hello. As she's like, you called. And you recognize this black cat, Hestia and Marcus, as it sort of starts to walk round. It walks straight over Marcus, purring, and then round to Hestia and sort of circles you, rubbing itself up against you. She's like, don't normally get cats here. This smells too strong. She sort of starts to stir this dye again.
Hestia immediately lights up, Merit! And then she starts like happily petting the cat. I'm so
Marcus
glad
gets really excited and like points like at Atka and then back at Merit and goes, "That's our cat! That means our friends are here!"
Atka's like, okay. Like, you could see her, like, looking around, almost in, like, a panic of, oh, God, like, and
Hestia's, like, petting it, and she's like, where have you been, little one? Like, she's just, like, these two people are just, like, so ecstatic about a cat.
Yeah, this cat sort of, puts its paws up by your shoulder and starts, like, rubbing its own face up against your cheeks before jumping off your lap again and walking down the path where Adga had pointed. She was like, a strange animal. Very dark. Normally they're all Santa coloured here. Bigger ears too.
He's a very helpful cat to, excuse me. And she kind of gets up and she's like, it's gonna sound strange, but I'm gonna follow him.
Right. Would you still like me to escort you into town, or are you okay following the cat?
You're welcome to join us. I don't know anything about this city. Maybe you could tell us something about where we head. She's like trying not to be like where the cat takes us. Like,
cats are clever creatures, and they have a purpose. All of them do.
Yes. And then she kind of looks at Marcus, and then she's like, "You coming?"
Yeah.
You go ahead. Maybe I'll see you later. She starts to stir again, and she's like, "You are welcome back here, regardless of whether you find your friends or not."
Thank you so much. We will return your clothes. We'll be back.
Keep
in
them.
A little bit.
I have so many.
Do I have like a little pack on me anywhere?
If you had one attached to you when you fell off the boat, you would probably have one.
Okay, I was just thinking like she could stuff her old clothes kind of quickly in there. Again, thank you so much. You've been most kind.
It's okay. This is where sort of nervously looks at you both. This cat has stopped and sat down, tail flicking as it looks back at you.
Hestia's trying not to seem like odd, where she's like, I know this looks strange, but she's like, okay, Marcus.
Off we go then.
This Merit starts to weave through these people and just always stays that little bit ahead of you and sort of pads through this dust. It's like it weaves in between the cattle's legs, people's legs. It doesn't seem to care. You can see a camel look slightly nervous as it walks past. And it leads you effectively into town through these streets, past these market squares, up to where you see this wooden platform being built up with these steps, and people are starting to gather around this crowd as this cat weaves round the back of it, past these huge men that are shouting something. They're shouting something. And it takes you over to this cover, this heavy cover on the ground. And it just sits by it.
And Hestia's kind of like looking around at everything, and then she's like, what is this here? And she like leans down and looks at the cover.
And you'll see this cat start pawing at it. And Cosima and Zyraxes, you'll see this little black paw coming over the edge and start, like, it's the cover's too heavy. So it's like it's pulling it and it's falling back.
You just hear Hestia, what are you digging at? And then you just kind of see like this fall of like wet blue hair, like water dripping down.
Zyraxes
kind of
will
this face, like looking down.
Zyraxes will probably make the same, fox at nighttime noise that they made when Cosima wandered off in the marketplace. I cannot replicate it. I've tried. It wouldn't go well.
It is haunting.
Google what does the fox say? That's pretty much the noise is
that
they're
could
making.
be so many things.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if Zyraxes just suddenly started, Cosima there just like, why Zyraxes out of everyone in the group did I get stuck with Zyraxes?
You just kind of see Hestia, like, she like leans in, kind of curious, and she goes, oh. Here's the noise.
You recognize the sound before you recognize.
Yeah, and she's like leaned over, hears the noise. She doesn't even see them yet, and she just looks up at Marcus. I found Zyraxes.
Is Cosima down there too? And he'll kind of like scuttle up and peer in as well.
Hestia! Marcos!
Oh good, they're both down there. How do we get them out?
What are you doing down here?
We were captured by the slavers. No time to explain that now, though.
Slavers?
Pull the mechanism, move the bars so we can get out of here.
She like hurriedly looks around. Does she see this mechanism that they're referring to?
It's probably under the cover, so you'd have to pull back the cover.
She starts to like...
Yeah, this is like a heavy canvas, so it's not super heavy, but it takes two of you to pull it and roll it all the way back. This cat is running across the edge of it as you are doing this, and then you hear it hiss and just as it sort of fluffs up, and you hear a deep voice. What are you doing?
I'm
back away from my stock.
Marcus will turn around.
Marcus is so like
I am tiny and I will fight you.
Marcus is that woman from the You Can Do It like wall poster, like
but instead of like a muscle, there's just a
yeah.
So ready to fight.
Yeah.
I love Marcus. I'm sorry, Meg, please go ahead. What is Marcus doing?
Fine. Marcus will turn around, and what does this person look like?
You turn around and you face a chest. And this huge man towers over you. large beard, very scruffy hair, but he's wearing what looks like maybe was expensive clothes. They look like they've faded. But from probably what you would know, these are the sort of clothes that they sell to people who come into a lot of money, don't necessarily have a lot of money, and it's more of a statement piece rather than something actually nice.
Ugh, nouveau riche.
Yeah. And it's just very faded colours, and he's got quite a broad chest. It's not necessarily muscle, this is just weight. You can see a round belly, which you know is fed well every single night. He's slightly rosy-cheeked, much like I am now. I haven't been drinking, I swear. And he looks down at you with these huge arms. Again, not muscular, just wide. Said, what are you doing?
Hello. Okay. So you look like a guy who is a strong, good person.
And you just see Hestia's head go.
Can we hear this from where we are?
Yeah, you can hear, not like loud, you can hear it almost muffled by the canvas, but you can definitely hear it.
And so this is like, he knows that he just completely said a stupid thing, but he keeps going, and he's like, so it seems like there's been a little bit of a mix-up here. We know some of our friends seem to have ended up in this contraption, and we are just trying to get them out. Is there any way that we could go ahead and do that and then just be on our way? No, we're not trying to take anything extra out of here or anything. Just get our friends and go.
You feel this man's eyes just like bore down into you as he's like almost double your size, and I'm talking width and height. And he's like, you can buy them.
Hestia slowly stands up. What's around? Are there like crates or anything kind of around?
Yeah, there's like some barrels, some crates. There's otherwise it's actually quite open. You can see that there's a crowd forming over by like the platform, but otherwise it's sort of just slightly off from the main high street.
And she gets this very uncharacteristically firm tone of voice. She's like, these are our friends. You have taken them against their will, and we are setting them free. I suggest you don't resist. And then you see like some of the crates start to like lift off into the air. She's like trying to intimidate him.
As Hestia is doing this and I'm imagining his attention, Cosima, as quietly as possible, would like to lift up Cicero. In the hope that Cicero can do something, if she can get hold of this man, can move the cover, can, just give an opportunity to Cicero to be up and unexpected.
Yeah, so I need Hestia to roll me an intellect, and I need Cosima to roll me a might as you heave like Cicero up, and he's like, now that there's more light, he can see these locks.
Would we know if this is one of the men who poured water down into the cell? Is the voice familiar?
This doesn't look like the man who poured water down into the cell.
Does this look like the big guy that was on deck that poured us on?
This is Seb.
Yes, I remember you, sir.
Okay, Zaraxes is going to start picking the flowers and braiding them into his hair.
Well, you're not quite up there yet.
No, I mean the flowers that grew on the ground of the cell.
Oh, I see. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can start sat there on your own, just braiding this, and Cicero
weirdly dexterously, just like I'm not gonna fall out.
Cosima, you sort of wobble a little bit. You think?
Use a reroll, pretty please.
Yeah. Use a reroll.
I love Xyraxes, always there in a crisis.
Yeah.
Slightly
Well,
better.
if it had been one of the people who gave them a bath, then it would have been a different story.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna glare and make daisy chains now. That's
Oh,
also
they're not even really paying attention. Once they knew Hestia and Marcus were there, they were like, they'll fix it, it's fine. Or we'll all get sold together.
Xyraxes is just happy we're all together again.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, that's assuaged a lot of the terror at failing their gods. They're kind of like, I'm just going to put flowers in my hair now and thank my god for bringing me these people back.
Cosima, you managed to hold Cicero. There's a slight wobble at the beginning, but he sort of secures himself on the side of these bars. And whilst distracted, he starts to slide this along. And Hestia, what did you roll?
I got a 3.
On a 3, this guy doesn't necessarily look fully intimidated by you, but he takes a step closer. And those boxes you're lifting up off of the ground, he looks to you and gives you a frown. That doesn't impress me, girl. And he, with a snap of his fingers, one of the boxes explode. And you just feel that sort of this wood shatter.
Does she sense magic?
Oh yeah.
Would that be very loud down here in the cell, or would that be like something
No, it'll
falling
probably
over?
still be muffled. He's not doing it like an explosion. He's doing it, you can hear is like the splintering of wood.
Okay, Xyraxes is still
Breathing.
prettying themselves up. It's fine.
And she kind of, like, recognizing the presence of magic, she just kind of smirks, and she's like, this girl can do more than that. And you just see, like, her eyes do that flash again, and, like, above you see it start to darken, like the thunder clouds are rolling in again. And you see her hands just kind of sizzle with electricity. She's trying to intimidate him.
Yeah, can you roll me another might, please?
I got a 1.
He looks up at this storm. And you can see quite a few people start looking up as this perfect weather starts to cloud over. And he looks at you for a second. He doesn't do anything. But he just takes that one step closer and you can feel his shadow over you. But at this point, Cosima is moving Cicero over to the second bolt as the first one has been undone. And you hear a ka-choom. And you see Cicero physically, like, wince. But Seb seems to be distracted by Hestia right now and this storm that is looming. And he looks down at you, he's like, oh.
Alright, she's gonna slowly lower him down and come over to Xyraxes and say, Xyraxes, can you climb like you did on the boat?
I can try. My god gives me many gifts, but I do not know when they come. I can try.
Marcus and Hestia need your help. The way is open.
I will follow the way. And Xyraxes gets up, like just tucking the last of the flowers. There's just like this little patch of just very sad stems now on the floor.
They continue to regrow as you pick them.
Awesome. Then there are a lot of flowers in Xyraxes' matted tangle of hair. And they will cross over to a wall and kind of start like petting the wall, like they're trying to find a good spot, even though it's all just wall. And I would like to try and use my special ability.
Yeah,
Sculpt
roll
flesh.
me a might for me.
I turn to Cicero. Do not look too close.
And he's...
Oh, I'd like to use my reroll.
Yes, your last reroll. Oh, okay. So, Cicero is like, what? And doesn't really have time to react. And meanwhile, up above, Hestia, this sparks, almost like a static, that blue static is flicking in between your hands. Seb reaches in and grabs your wrist. And as he does this, he pulls back your hood to reveal this blue hair. Oh.
And she looks up, like she has this fierce kind of look in her eyes. And she tries to send out like a shock to him as he grabs her wrist. Not like overly aggressive, but more trying to communicate like, let go.
Yeah.
And she actually says, let go of me.
He leans in, he's like, you're one of those. And then there's that static from your hand, and he sort of does that, and lets go of you. And Zyraxes, please describe this, what I can only imagine is a really creepy scene of you leaving this cell.
Zyraxes' hands from like the fingertips down will start to darken and turn absolutely pure jet black as the fingernails and almost the ends of the fingers as well start to lengthen into these lethal looking points. And it's not like an animal talon, it is something completely unearthly. And they look around at Cicero and Cosima, and this manic, massive, almost too wide to be natural, it's far too wide to be comfortable, just stretches across his face, and his teeth have sharpened into almost shark-like points. It's not the kind of teeth that should ever be crammed into a humanoid mouth. It's like nothing you really see in nature, because they're these long, almost, they look like they could be interlocked. Venom teeth! Venom teeth is basically what they've grown. And they just grin at the two people in their cell, turn around, and just start jabbing their claws into the wall and pulling themselves up. And kind of, they're using their feet to push themselves up as they basically scuttle up the wall in this weird kind of overhand Spider-Man crawl. And when they get to the grate, is it open outwards?
It opens outwards, yes.
So, like, they'll crawl until they're almost crammed up against the grate, and then use one long but not strong arm to kind of just use the whole of the leverage to shove it over. And watching emerging this, it's very much truth coming out of a well to shame mankind. Just these two arms just clawing up as they basically just drag themselves over the lift and kind of get up, and they don't stand up, they kind of pull themselves so their feet are on the ground, and then it's this half crouch as their head just snaps up, and they're looking for Hestia and Marcus. And if Seb is still like quite close, I know that he pulled his arm back, but if he's still standing quite close to Hestia, it will just be a full-on like lunge, like just pushing off two back feet, just claws going straight for his face.
So what happens is you sort of like, in this sort of animalistic way, pull yourself out. And Marcus, you'll probably hear like these talon-esque things clink on this metal. And Hestia, as you send that spark through Seb's arm and he jolts back, he takes maybe a step back. And at the same time, you and Marcus can turn and you see this weird form that you recognize as Zyraxes, but it's not quite Zyraxes. As almost in one fluid motion with just their arms, Zyraxes pushes themselves off this grate and launches themselves at Seb. And I need you to make a might roll for me, please, Zyraxes.
I have no rerolls left, so come on, Dionysus, help me.
Oh!
Nice.
Okay, describe to me. First of all, you have an XP to give someone.
Okay, I'm going to give it to Hestia. Doesn't have one yet. So I'm
No
going to give it
idea.
to Hestia.
Thank you.
Describe
Yeah, we all have
what
XP.
you do for this man.
Okay. How gross do I want to be? This is
Very.
fun. I think because then, they're basically a maniac. This is full-blown religious frenzy. So they will launch Wolverine-like with just the claws going straight for the man's neck. And the feet will plant themselves, in his midriff and just topple him right over. And then it's... Has anyone seen The Last Unicorn, the movie?
Yes.
You know the bit where the harpy is gets rook, and they're all just walking away from it because it's just you just see these hunched shoulders and its crouched figure, and you don't actually see what's happening, but there's just noises. Yep.
And as this happens, Cosmo, you can't see what's happening, but my God, can you hear it? And Cicero is just like, he's put his hands over his eyes and he's trying to block, well, he's closed his eyes, he's trying to block his ears, like, I don't want to know what it's
A big hand just touches his shoulder. Says, "Now, time to go." Arms
Okay.
together, gonna boost him up.
I'm gonna say you can do this because the city's so light. You can literally, and probably like we said, the cheerleader thing earlier.
Just like vault him out.
Hestia and Marcus will just see this new person appear from the ground as he sort of almost lands up on this railing as he grabs onto these bars.
And then I imagine with great effort, feet wedged to either wall as wide as she can, arms out, and she's gonna just heave herself very slowly
Yeah,
up these walls.
you can just push yourself out of this, effectively this metal cage, and you see Hestia, you see Marcus, you see Cicero sort of lying down trying to catch his breath as he's just been flung out of this cage, and the mess that is left of Seb with Zyraxes sort of poised in a sort of almost animal form over him, and you can hear gasps and screams, and these people have sort of stopped around you looking at this scene.
This
Zyra-
man could not afford our freedom. Cosima is just ready for a fight now. She just had the effort of heaving herself out of this hole, and she missed punching this guy.
You do
So-
see, however, two of the men, the ones that, one of the ones that is covered in cat scratches, you can tell from a mile off, as he comes running forwards, and he has like a whip in his hand, and the other looks slightly more nervous and is stood behind him as he looks in horror, starts backing away as he sees Seb on the floor. But this other man hears Cosima shouting, it's just like, you. And you can see him just working his grip.
Can Hestia snap her head back and see the whip and try to move it with her powers to tangle it around his feet and make him trip?
Yeah. You can roll me an intellect.
Why do I feel like Cyraxis is about to eat our dead friend?
Yeah, I'm feeling that.
You might actually want to stop them because you might.
I got a 3.
At the moment, they're just very focused on making sure it's dead. He's dead. But, there's a time limit on how long it's gonna take.
You see this man pull back this whip and he flicks it back and you hear that crack. However, as he does so, as you twist your hand around its ankle, it sort of keeps going back and starts swirling around his ankles. He doesn't fall over, but he starts to wobble like, what is this?
Zyrax's head would snap towards the whip sound, and they would kind of in that kind of creepy, kind of almost stop motion twitch way, get to their feet, and their arms are still black and clawed, but they are now dripping blood, and the snakes are getting agitated, and they're just staring at the fella with the whip, and takes one step forward, just like, "You doing this? You doing this? Don't know if we're doing this."
For real, like in meta, the temptation to declare a new plague in Egypt is so strong.
Yeah. That's probably what they're thinking right now. But what about Marcus and Cosima? What are you doing in this?
So up until this point, Marcus has just been kind of like, as Xeraxes got out of the grate, Marcus would have just like stepped aside, like, go do your thing, like, go do it. And so after that happens with Seb, and the guy with the whip comes up, Marcus is just gonna be like, come on, look, like, and Marcus is just gonna gesture at like Hestia, be like, she just like shocked a guy. Then you have Costa, who could beat the crap out of you, and then Xeraxes, who I'm not even sure what they are anymore. But
Marcus,
anyway, I think it would be in your best interest if you listen to me the way that Seth just did not, and leave us alone.
Could you roll me an intellect, please?
Yes.
On a 4, the guy behind this other one that is now tangled and sort of hopping, the one behind just like nods ferociously and just legs it.
See, that guy has the right idea.
And what about Cosima? How is Cosima reacting to all of this?
I think Cosima is inspecting the mechanism and the bolts that were kind of pushed out and pulled out, and she's turning them very slowly into weapons.
Yeah.
I think she's got one like nested in between her knuckles, so if she needs to punch anyone, just
these are like heavy metal bars, and they've got like 4-pronged so they would have slid and locked in, so they're almost like teeth basically, and there's 2. So if you want to pick both those up, it's a matter of literally turning it and pulling it out of the lock.
Okay, then yeah.
From that angle it was difficult.
She's getting weapons together, because I'm imagining they took our fish knife off of her.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, she's just so I guess these are either going to become bludgeoning devices or knuckle duster devices, depending on.
They can be whatever you want.
I would like knuckle dusters.
You can have knuckle dusters.
I'm
In fact,
picturing
some
like,
of
you know,
them
knuckle
have,
dusters
like-
with the spikes sticking out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like little Wolverine.
These locks have a tiny little curve and a bend at the end, so you can either grip them like that or put them underneath your fingers effectively.
I think for now she just grabbed them and just shoved them between her fingers. Like, she can play with it later.
Yeah, this guy who's tangled just falls down. Out of a panic after sort of seeing this young boy, Marcus, kind of giving him a heads up as he sort of looks at Marcus, listens to what he thinks is the only sane person in this group, as one of them is wielding like electricity and lightning, the famed powers of Zeus, and then looking at Cosima, who is basically this huge fisherwoman who has just all by herself climbed out of this cage and immediately found herself a weapon and readied. And then there's Xeraxes, but I think we can all
Kara, that is Xeraxes.
yeah.
Yep. And then there's Zyra.
As Cosima takes stock of the scene, do we see more slave cages, more pits, anything like that?
You can see what looks to be more like 2 or 3 other canvases on the ground, which you can assume, like yours, is covering cages.
Obian, if you live and can hear me, cry out. She knows she can hear him if he's alive.
Xeraxes is now like crouched over the fella who's fallen over, and is just like holding a hand over their face.
Yeah, this guy's
particularly over their eyes.
This guy
There's
is
blood
crying.
dripping on their face.
He's got his eyes closed and he's crying. But you do not hear Obion at all.
Okay, I've got Freddy Krueger on my team.
It's like Edward Scissorhands. Like,
That's what I thought. Yeah, last week.
And probably Marcus and Hestia will see it first. A woman, Adga, walks through the crowd that seem to be forming around you, shouting. She walks through with this spear. It's like, back up. As she sort of swings this spear around as this group seems to, it's like a mob is forming after seeing what has just happened. And she steps into this crowd swinging this spear around to keep people back. And looks over at Marcus and Hestia as like, you were gone like 30 minutes and this happens. Did he try to intimidate someone? Like, and he sort of looks over, just over Marcus.
I didn't do the intimidating. I don't.
And looks down at this mess on the floor. Grimaces slightly and it's just like, oh, someone was gonna do it at some point, Seb. Like, and looks down.
Yeah, they might have to identify him by his clothes.
Yeah. Oh, she knows who it is.
Oh no, I just meant there's not a lot of face.
Yeah. And you see the crowd slowly start to back up and disperse, seeing this woman approach you all. And then she looks to Cosima and Zyraxes. Are these your friends?
These are.
Now just like drawing a claw across this guy's forehead. Like...
Yeah, you can hear him whimper a little bit.
I'd quite like to pick Zyraxes up, almost like scruffing a cat but with the clothes and just kind of heave them back off of this dude. I know it's gonna bite me in the ass, but
Are you making skin contact or are you pulling?
no,
at
it's
the
clothing.
skins?
Literally getting the
Okay.
the skins,
Then
the clothing, fabric. Just...
They will, as they're like dragged away, they won't react to the proximity so much because it's not skin contact. But as they're getting like dragged away, they will absolutely try and like steal the whip.
She just clamps onto
Yeah,
the
you can clamp onto the whip
Right there.
and drag it off. And you can see that this, well, Hestia can, this black cat has calmed down and sort of stood up on its hind legs and reached up to Hestia to make the gesture to climb up on her shoulder once
She kind
more.
of just like, come on.
How long has elapsed since I used my special ability? Because it lasts for 10 minutes.
Oh, it's probably been about like 10, 15
Okay.
minutes. You're probably slowly
Yeah.
returning to normal.
Still just clutching the whip.
And Adgar looks at all of you and says, shall we open these other cages and get you out of here, maybe? I don't think you should be in the public sight.
Sounds like an excellent idea.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How widespread is slavery in Greece and in the region in particular that Cosima's from? Because I'm wondering how much she would have kind of being slightly lawful in a bent if she's going to be... She knows that she wasn't, you know, a slave.
For the Greeks, it was more, you would have slaves, but they would also be more servants. So
more like,
it's almost like you would house them, you would give them food. It was more of a safe bet, like a job. But you have heard that over in Memphis, Egypt, slaves are the ones you're seeing pulling those huge stones up the pyramids. It's not good. It's
where's
not
the
the
word
same.
for that when you get someone and they're basically under contract to be your bitch until they
Yeah.
pay themselves off?
Well, this is the thing in Egypt. Once the pyramids were done, they kill them all and bury them in there. So it's not a great
Yeah,
job.
wasn't Egypt was chattel slavery, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
I think in Greece, you had an okay life. You just couldn't.
You
vote
didn't
in
have
anything.
any rights.
You weren't a citizen.
No, you weren't like a
Yeah.
citizen. You didn't have any
You could
rights,
own
but you were
slaves, right?
fed,
That was Greece.
watered,
You could own
clothed,
slaves
and
Yeah.
housed.
if you were a slave.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking around, Cosima's definitely going to give the nod to, you said her name was Agga?
Yeah, Adga.
She gives a nod to Aga that we're gonna release the rest of the slaves.
And she'll walk over to one of the canvases and pull it back and start working on these bolts and take them off. And the first one she'll open, you see her hold herself and lean in and start pulling out people. They don't look malnourished or anything like that. You're guessing this is all effectively like a fresh catch in the form of a fisherman. So these people are new to this. You see like children as young as like 11, 10 being pulled out of here, but they look fine. This looks like this was the point where they were going to be sold.
Yeah, you want to keep your slaves healthy before you sell them.
Exactly. They don't look hurt. They don't look...
Cicero.
Yeah. Cicero, you can probably guess, wasn't sold on one of the sales, and they sort of it's like back stock. Like...
It's the for sale rack last time.
Buy one get one free. Like...
it's an old line. We're getting rid of them.
Yeah, but you can guess that all these people look well. They look fairly healthy. They want slaves to be healthy, because who's going to buy a sickly looking slave? Of course, it's right.
Cosimo will go to another hole or another cage and do what she needs to do to get those open.
Yeah, you can pull people out. There's men and women in there. You're pulling them all out. Some of them thank you in Greek. You recognize them as Greek. Probably very much like you were traveling and caught on their way over.
We'll have to move quickly. This won't stand for long.
No. And
Zyraxes is like trying to roll Seb's massive body towards the pit.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
Just like
bits of him are there, and you can just sort of flip it down. And Atticus stands. She's like, "Shall we?" and starts walking back. The crowd seems to part when she walks.
Quickly before
We'll follow
everybody
and
leaves.
kind of. Oh, I was just gonna say Marcus will follow and kind of gesture for the other ones too.
Cicero, will you come with us? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, Hestia is watching Xeraxes like shove the body in there, and she just kind of pulls the blood out of the soil and like kind of also puts it in the pit.
Just tidy up a little bit.
All
I
in
didn't see anything here.
To be fair, there's still quite a lot of blood on Zyraxes.
That's fair. She expects that.
As always.
Yeah. And
They don't stay clean for long.
she looks at Zyraxes as you're like finished putting the body in there, and she looks at them and she's like, "We'll have to discuss this later." And she's like, "Okay, let's start walking back." She like keeps an eye on Marcus too, like, "Where are you?"
Zyraxes will kind of meet Hestia's gaze, get up and just like follow her and just kind of go, I lost the honey.
And Adga leads you through back the way you came. And once again, you pass through all these sort of washing lines. You see these pits of like blue and almost like a turmeric sort of very bright yellow color. So they duck back into their house and looks at Zyraxes and Cosima. And as much as they think Zyraxes isn't going to take it, they put it out anyway on the table. She grabs a few more sets of clothes off the line, just puts them on the table in this sort of kitchen area, leaning her spear up against the wall.
Did Cicero follow with us, or did he flee with all the other slaves that we
He
went
fled. He legged it. This was his opportunity, and he took it. You probably saw him leaving in the distance. Again, he wasn't very, healthy, so it was more of a trot than a run, but he thought he was
Like a limp.
Yeah, I'm going. So,
I'm
dang it! As he falls down into the other
Oh, forest.
I'm free. I love that film. And you arrive in this house, and Adga looks around. She's like, I'm sorry, I only have the one stool. And she seems to go to work at sort of... There's like this wood fire burning away in this, what you can guess is like the kitchen, but it's like just 2 rooms. There's one big room with all this living space and what you can presume is maybe a bedroom out the back.
We owe you a debt. They'll know it was you that helped.
It's fine. My father told me to help.
Cosma is gonna reach into her belt around her waist and pull out that quartz statue and just put it on the table.
It's very pretty.
Valuable.
To some.
To some.
And she brings over like this terracotta, I guess it's a plate, but it's just like a flat thing with you can smell the aromas like coriander sort of thing, like, and these flatbreads, and she just throws it down and starts pouring wine on the table, like in glasses, not just I just completely missed the word glasses. It's a party. Starts pouring these again like terracotta flasks almost of wine.
Zyraxes has been kind of dotting blood on the walls, just like in weird, like almost constellation-y type groupings. As soon as they hear wine, their head just snaps around. Just like, wine?
While Zyraxes is doing that, like they'll get like a couple dots in, but then Hestia's like kind of like pulling the blood off of the walls.
You can see that Adga doesn't seem too bothered by it. It looks like she's more focused on doing chores and getting the food and the drink out on the table. And you look at this woman and you think she's not well off, like rich, but she's comfortable.
Mm-hmm. You'll not take my trinket. Will you take my labor then?
Yes, why not? You can help me with a few things. It's like my father says, it's better to pay with labor than it is trinkets. Labor actually helps me.
She tucks the trinket back away. She'll take the clothes and go and get changed.
Zyraxes will start drinking the wine. All the wine. They don't learn.
This this woman looks over at Hestia and Marcus and sort of leans in. She's like, is that one of the Dynasts thingy? You know, like she recognizes who you worship. She's like,
Go with us.
Yeah. Don't worry too much about that one. They seem to be pretty well behaved as long as no one is directly threatening anything.
Or touching.
Yeah.
that's fine. I've experienced followers of Dionysus before, and she takes the clothes that she left there for Zyraxes and just puts them on the side. So, you are welcome to stay here. I may need some help with some labor. You can pay your keep that way. But it sort of looks over Zyraxes. It's like, maybe I'll just top up the wine for that. And she just puts another thing on the table of wine.
Zyraxes will, like, their head will snap her, and they'll just, like, stare at her before leaning in closer. Are you the traveller or the messenger? We need to find them. We have to find them. We have to find the place where the dead reach. We have to go somewhere, somehow. It's coming.
Neither a traveller or a messenger. My father is a traveller. He is a merchant. But I am neither of those things, and I'm sorry.
Alice, remind me. When we had our map, it was a place off the coast near Memphis that we were going to, right?
Yeah, it was further along the coast, but it was on this coastline. I'm sorry, I'm neither of those things.
But your father, the father of all. Where is your father? My father sold me. He was bad. He was a bad man.
Traveling. He's a merchant. I stay here and I prefer it here. My work is better here. And she sort of gestures to all these dyed clothes that seem to be hanging around the place.
You change things. Change is good.
I do.
We need to change it. It can't happen. We have to listen and see.
What can't happen?
It's coming from beneath. It's coming in the dark, and it will burn. It will all burn, and the gods are fading. We need to stop it. We have to find them. We have to go.
And she doesn't seem like horrified or shocked. She's actually wearing quite a plain face to what you're saying.
They're
Okay.
right.
Drink
It's
more.
well, you must have come here for a reason. So you are welcome in my home. My family, it's just me and my father. He taught me to be welcoming. So you are welcome. Until you decide what else it is you do.
There is a place we seek, as Iraxis said. Somewhere off the coast. It was there we were going. When, unfortunately, our ship was wrecked. She decides to skip over the details of exactly how.
What place is it to seek?
Did we have a name for it? We didn't, did we? Like, not a specific place, we just had a descriptor.
Oh,
Zyraxes will start like mumbling over and over and over where the dead reach, and they measure by the stars.
Do you have a
Mainly
map?
the dead bit. Mainly the dead bit.
Measure by the stars. She's like filling in bits that Zyraxes is explaining as well.
And she looks at you, so, well, everyone measures by the stars here.
Yes, do you have a map? I can show you. Said your father was a traveller.
Yes, and she scrambles about a bit, and you can see some different parchments sort of come out, and then she pulls one out, not too dissimilar to yours. In fact, it's on the same paper. It's this looks like it's actually more used from where you're from, rather than almost like a papyrus that is from here. So, show me.
Cosmo takes a huge swallow from that wine glass and just takes a good look at the map and big finger down on the spot as best as she can remember.
In the ocean.
It's a long story.
Cheers. We could wait for my father to return. Maybe he could take you there. But I don't know. I've heard these are tricky waters.
Perhaps he could recommend someone.
Oh, he knows everyone. He'll definitely recommend someone.
I was a fisherwoman in Greece.
A fisherwoman?
I know the way of boats.
You had your own?
My husband did.
And she sort of picks up the tone. I'm sorry. What happened to them?
He was taken,
Taken?
and then she kind of thinks it through. Yes, by the sea.
It does that. I often fear for my father when he goes out to sea. He can be gone for weeks at a time, but he always turns up somehow.
Do you know where your father may have gone that could give us a good idea of when to expect him back?
Actually, he's due back this week, from so I've heard. Well, this is the normal sort of time. He was over in Greece, and he was a merchant. He always brings spices back and forth. It's pretty good.
What is your father's name?
Oh, Obium. You hear him before you see him. And she just sort of goes back and pulls some bread and like breaks it apart and starts to eat it and makes sure to offer it to you.
Obium.
He's quite a personality. He's definitely known here. It gives me the influence I have.
Aga, I must tell you something about your father.
Yes.
He was with us when the slavers... on the slavers' ship. She tries to make sense of the sequence of events that happened.
What? Why? But they know who he is. They shouldn't have taken him.
I tried to find him in the marketplace now.
So you travelled with my father?
Yes.
Sorry, Shakes has just come back. Right. And he wasn't with you in that cell?
He survived the wreck and was healthy last I saw him.
They don't, or didn't, get on, Seb and he. Right. And you see her, like, drift off and almost start to really think about what you've said.
Where was Seb's home?
Here, in Memphis. Quite an elaborate place, actually.
I have some choice words for his wife. Perhaps we
Kessa.
can resolve the absence of your father there.
It's the least we can do and help you look for him.
That maybe.
I want my honey back.
And, like, Adgar looks at you and says, would you like some honey?
No, I want my honey. She gave me honey and the wine was wrong. I want my honey back. I don't like
Xerxes
her.
also has account to settle.
Then we will get your honey back and we will get some answers. But first, tonight you rest. You have been in a cell, and to be fair, if my father is there, then I'm pretty sure they'll be paying me to take him back any day soon. And if they've sent him somewhere else, then I will find him. We will find him if...
Believe me, wives can be very difficult when their husbands are taken from them. It would be better to act quicker. Castle will not take Seb's loss well. They seemed most attached.
Then we go tonight. She will be traveling at the moment. Is this as Adgar looks up at the sky and at the sun? She will be back home in a few hours. When it starts to get dark. We will head there then. And thank you. It's... Was he well when he was pulled aboard?
He was strange. There were people looking to him, but he wasn't not sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. He was not awake. I gave him honey.
He swallowed a great deal of seawater. He was alive.
And Xeraxes will start like licking their lips the way that Obion did when they kind of dropped the honey on his face.
Yeah.
Kind of like they're trying to demonstrate it, but they're not actually saying what they're demonstrating, so it just looks really weird that they're just like...
Yeah, Atka's like taking a step back, not step back, but looking at you, almost like inquisitive, trying to figure you out of interest, not out of anything else.
Perhaps we owe you a fuller story now. And it is only fair in exchange for the spread you've given us.
And she smiles at, I could hear a story.
Who feels like being the bard tonight and telling Adgar what happened to her father's ship?
I think if we want it in any kind of coherent manner, it can't be me. That would be interesting.
The many heads, and then the sea is bad.
Yeah,
Yep,
I was gonna
yep.
say.
It's like, I had an eyeball on my arm. And then there was Poseidon.
I love that you've assumed it's Poseidon.
No, Xeraxes has assumed it's Poseidon.
Oh no,
I don't know who it is.
Xeraxes has presumed it's.
But Xeraxes was like, we're in the sea. Who else is it gonna be?
I think that Cosimo would actually look to Marcos as the son of a senator. I think considering senators are grand orators.
Yeah.
She really wants to drink some more wine before she goes and punches this woman in the face.
I now have this image of everyone looking at Marcus and Xeraxes
At the end of the
looking
table,
at the cats. Looking at the cats.
Even like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Marcus kind of sees everyone staring and reaches forward and slowly picks up the goblet of wine, takes a drink, back down and says, how do I explain this? Well, we got on Obion's ship. And things were fine. Things were great. We were out in the ocean. It was all good. And then there was a creature, and Marcus describes the swelling of the Hydra out of the ocean and is like, yeah, I was pretty seasick because I'd never been on the ocean, so I just kind of didn't notice it until it was right there. And then it kind of crashed one of its necks down on the ship and broke it. And what happened? And Marcus just gets kind of confused because he's like, well, because there's this point where I was hanging off the side and then I just kind of lost my grip and fell in the ocean. And I was just in the ocean the whole time. And then Hestia fell in the ocean too, and we tried to get back up, and we were like climbing up, or not climbing up the anchor, but she did her magic stuff, and we got back up to the surface, but by the time we got back up to the surface, the boat exploded.
And you can see that Adgar is looking at you, not disbelieving. In fact, she's nodding. And almost like they are agreeing with you. I believe you. There are things in our ocean that the gods have put there. For reasons. I do not know them. I've never seen them myself, but the gods gift us in mysterious ways. And sort of looks over to Xeraxes and Hestia at this point. In very mysterious ways. And you're not alone in that fact. You are looking for a traveller and a messenger. maybe we will find this at Seb's home. He also has a great library. Some scrolls. Say, you know, when I say great library in this sort of day and age, it's probably a small room. And I don't know. Maybe you'll find something to help you in there.
Thank you. Anything will help, because I had a bunch of books with me and that didn't work out, obviously.
And she sort of shakes her head. Well, we have 2 hours until darkness starts to fall and then we move. And you all sort of settle down. She brings out more of these like flatbreads. She tops up the wine and you sit there and wait for this evening to come.
Does she have a home shrine? Just really.
She doesn't seem to have a home shrine. This is literally a simple 2-room place. And what would you all do in these 2 hours?
Zyraxes would take very carefully the fox skin and the leopard skin from around their shoulders and would so very carefully and meticulously start grooming the fox skin out, because it's been drenched in quite a lot of water by this point, and would just like using that tiny, it's got to be the tiniest little scrap of fabric now, their little like sling piece, to just kind of like smooth it out and make it nice, and try to do the same with the leopard skin, although it's seen better years and it probably doesn't make that much of a difference. And would also kind of like fixate on like swirling the whip that they've taken as well, just like wrapping it around their arm and watching the snakes crawl over it, and then unwrapping it and kind of twisting it in the ground like kids do with skipping ropes, you know how kids in the playground, kind of like that. They wouldn't go anywhere to do this. They'd probably just be doing it sat in the room. So if anyone has a vantage point, they would be able to see that Zyraxes has quite a number of whip marks on their back, old scars. So they're just kind of fixated with twisting this and exploring it almost like a child would.
Estia is gingerly unwrapping her bandage on her arm, and she's inspecting the wound, and it's very tender. She spends some time cleaning it and rewrapping it, and then she also spends a little more time feeding bits of food to Merritt, and then taking like a piece of like ripped fabric from her cloak, and she's like kind of like dragging it along the floor and watching Merritt like bat and chase it, kind of to distract her from the pain and occupy her mind.
Marcus would probably be, I don't know, maybe trying to keep his space tidy and kind of like tidy up the parts of the kitchen and things that they've gotten dirty in order to like not impose on Atka at all. Just kind of, he already feels really bad because bad. So he's just like, we've totally imposed this on you, and he's kind of just trying to clean, but he's not very good at cleaning because he's used to the servants doing it.
Yeah, you see her like follow you around and just, she's appreciative, and you can see she's like, thank you. Out the corner of your eye, you might see it, she's just doing that little extra bit afterwards after you.
Cosima, for her part, I imagine she actually goes outside, takes in a bit of the dye operation that's going on, but mostly she's just trying to find like a quiet private corner, and she sets up that trinket and she pours out some wine and says prayers to the gods, the ones she believes will help us as we prepare to wage war, as we prepare to face the sea again in the future. Thank the ones that have blessed us, making it that this far, that sort of thing. And she'll kind of sit there looking at that damp patch of ground where the wine is soaking in, and she'll slowly kind of lift up her garment to check that injury on her leg, which she's suddenly remembering that she had a very nasty injury on her leg before we dragged aboard the boat. Since then, it's kind of been a lot of adrenaline and things going on, but it's just kind of a time to take stock. And so, yeah, she's checking in on that nasty wound.
Yeah, it seems to be okay. Like, you actually feel like this salt water has really helped this, despite all the problems you've gone through with this. It's actually helped out in the long run. And Adgar, after following Marcus around and sort of cleaning up a little bit more behind them, settles down in a chair on this one stool, and with you seems to relax, drums her fingers on the table, waiting for the darkness to come. And very quickly, the sun starts to go down. And the city does quieten. You can still hear things. You can see fires being lit as you wait for the time to leave. And Hestia, Merrick sort of jumps up on your lap and stretches out, put its paws up by your shoulders, and looks at you like almost noses touching. And you hear that whisper in your head again. The messenger. Well done. You found him again. And that is where we will leave the Realm of the Ancients this week. So, we will go around. We will go around and plug yourself and talk about what your favorite bit from this episode was so far. So we will go in, where should we go? Let's go back to Marcus or Meg, as we know together.
Yep. Hi, I'm Meg. You can find me on Twitter at Pishkinban, and also I have like kind of a D&D blog of sorts at elfnotes.com, so that's where you can find me. So my favorite, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can pick one. My favorite moment this episode was, oh gosh, I don't know. I think it has to be just, it was so fun just riding the high of Marcus just deciding to be crazy this time. Like, it was just so fun.
You stood up to a crocodile. You stood up to a crocodile, and then we're like, do you know what? I've got this, guys. I've got this. With
Yeah, it's like,
else.
I can do anything. I can.
Oh, it's so precious.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And now round to our resident crazy person, Xyrexes or Shakes.
So I'm Shakespeare. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, same handle, Shakespeare. And oh no, it's too hard to pick. But oh, it's a tie. It's gotta be, because I absolutely loved Marcus trying to explain things. He's just so precious. It's just like, so we were on a boat and that was fine. It's like, okay. And Hestia just being so badass with Seb. Just that you move moment.
Yeah.
That was really great. Just like with the arm up,
so
just
cool
like,
this
let
time.
me go.
Yeah.
So cool. Oh, it's just all so good. I'm really happy. This is a really fun game.
And where can we find you?
Oh, Shakespeare Twitter. I'm not playing in any other games at the moment. So it's just me rambling on Twitter at the moment.
Love a good ramble on Twitter. And now we're going to hop over to our strong woman, Cosima. Oh, hi, Charlie.
Hi. I'm at Frost from Fire on the Twitters and various other places, but I mostly use Twitter, so find me there. I am on the Discord for this channel, which Alice is going to plug soon. So yeah, you can message me there as well. I play in, I think, 8 games a week at the moment. I have a pinned tweet which explains where I am when. which is good because it means I know where I am when. This game is definitely a highlight every Thursday. I've been loving playing Cypher System, and in this world with this incredibly eclectic group who somehow are managing to scrape by. My favorite moment of this week, I loved seeing Hestia's storm magic. That was super freaking cool. I loved when Zyraxes declared they wanted their honey back. I think this was the first time they'd engaged with a reality and just been like, nah, I'm involved in this too. And obviously Marcus just becoming a badass. I'm so proud of my son.
I don't think you've adopted Marcus. I think you've all adopted Marcus.
The funny thing about it is, I think from Cosmo's perspective, Marcus is a man and should be pulling his weight and doing what he's doing. But Charlie's perspective is, oh my god, Marcus! So I have to kind of remember between the two. But yeah, everyone in this group is great. It's a highlight every Thursday. And thank you to chat for coming and hanging out and helping our adventures with their donations and retweets.
Awesome, thank you. And last but certainly not least, our blue-haired, like, what, electricity sort of thunder witch right now.
I was gonna say thunder witch.
Basically Storm. It's so cool.
I'm Amber. You can find me at Furore_DND. This is on Twitter. This is the only stream that I'm in. Otherwise, I DM a host of D&D games that I post about on my my channel. But my favorite part of the night was a couple of things. Like, I loved watching Zyraxes' form change. Like, I just loved the description of the like claws and the maniacal smile. There was going to be one point where Hestia was going to be like, do it, like Emperor Palpatine, like plunge on this other guy. But I'm really intrigued by this whole thing with the messenger and Merit. As the cat jumps.
I was gonna say, she's now currently like, this is my messenger, and she's really Larry right now, so.
No.
No pressure.
I would
yeah.
say those two, definitely. This is turning out to be such a fun game. I love it. Everybody's got such unique personalities, and the story is so cool. Love it.
I do love how this group, as much as they're all complete opposites in personalities, that they are coming together in this like really weird team squad. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's really, really cool.
I love like finding the weird little lucid moments, because playing a mad character, it's always a constant toss up between am I gonna be, you know, mad, or am I gonna be useful?
Yeah.
And just like the
like
little
mad.
moments where it just aligns, like Cosima saying, can you do that again? And Zyraxes basically being like, can I do that again?
Yeah.
Let's have a go.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I think that's my favorite bit, is watching everyone do their own individual thing. Like, we've got Zyraxes doing their weird claw, like Wolverine-esque Edward Scissorhands type thing. I love that we've got Marcus like trying to puff his chest out and square up to a crocodile, and then onto Seb and Hestia with this like static energy that she's slowly revealing and like lifting the crates off of the ground and moving things. And then just the best image of Cosima, she's got everyone out, she's like, okay, out I go. Basically pull herself and then bolts throw out and pick up the bolts
I
to
feel like
create
she
her own knuckle
the
blasters.
whole chicken, the whole robo chicken and fox thing, trying to figure out the best way to get everyone out of this hole.
Oh man, I made a
guys.
joke about it with Zyraxes, but I definitely think Cosima coming out of that is definitely truth coming out of the well to shame mankind. Just like,
Yeah. Just
God,
like,
and then just picking up these bits of metal, like, all right.
it's like, I
Mad.
am so mad
Who
about
wants
this
some?
right now. She's just a beast, and I love her. Right, so yeah. Oh, all right. I'm sorry, my cat's meowing. I'm White Rabbit Pick. You can find me on Twitter under that name. I do photography stuff. Go check it out. And when I'm not doing that, I'm either DMing on this channel or I'm playing on this channel. And when I'm not doing that, I'm playing over on Tales from the Grim in one of their Cypher System campaigns that's coming up in Highlander, and also the Lady Blackbird campaign, which I play every Monday night. So a few things before we head over. We are going to go and raid one of our wonderfully favorite people. We're going to go and raid Bird versus Plane. He's currently streaming some Kingdom of Hearts, and I love him dearly. So we're going to head over there. Definitely come in and check out our Discord. You will find the chat room for this, where I think you can discuss like theories or scream into the abyss or whatever it is you want to do over there. If you want to get into a game, drop Scrat a message on Twitter. We have 5 viewer games this season, including a Cypher System one. So if you liked what you saw here today, definitely go check it out. I heard this week's Cypher seminar session was a bit of a blast because it turned into wacky races. If you're should know what that is. So it was a little wow. But other than that, we've also got a Patreon where there is a way you can support us. Now we're full time, along with some merch which you can get via Redbubble. We also have the wonderful YouTube. So if you haven't seen an episode before this, definitely go check it out. There is a playlist over on YouTube, and this one will be up in the next couple of days. So if you missed any of it, don't worry, you'll be able to catch up on it very soon. We have wonderful sponsors, one of them in the form of Bird in the Storm, which is Bird versus Plane. I'm saying Bird far too often now, it's really throwing me off. Bird versus Plane is part of Bird in the Storm, and also our lovely Tool School. You can find their merch in the links below, and also Magehand Press, who created the Dark Matter Alpha D&D 5e reskin. So all your D&D needs in space and everything sci-fi, so go check that out. So we are now going to head over to Bird versus Plane, send him all the love. He's a seriously wonderful human being. And I believe the war cry is that, where's it gone? I've lost it. And then there's Zyraxes is the war cry, which I feel is rather good
that
for
on
this.
a t-shirt.
Yeah, I feel that
It's
needs to
like
be on a
Hestia,
t-shirt.
Cosima, Marcus,
And
and then there's
just like on the back, and then there's Zyraxes. But yes, keep evoking emotions, guys. We'll be back in an hour or so, ready with our Dark Matter campaign, completely legitimate business. So see you very soon, and keep evoking emotions. Bye.